I'm Alma Palacios, and I come from France, and we are here in residency with
Manon Parent.
I'm a dancer, actress, and singer, and we are making a piece together that is called Autobiography of Contradictions in Culture Ensemble. And it's through Culture Ensemble that we were invited to perform in the festival.
Yes, so Manon Parent, I'm a dancer, choreographer, composer, and our piece is an homage and a gift to Goliarda Sapienza, who inspired us a lot in our lifestyle, in our reflections, and in our art making. And that's why we are in Sicily, because we are walking in her trail and trying to get some sense, some little glimpses of where she sprouted. And we are working with.
I'm Alberica Bazzoni, and I'm a researcher. I'm an academic, and I have worked many years on Goliarda Sapienza, and I'm here to work with them on this project. Now working on the dramaturgy and some collaboration and exchange about Goliarda Sapienza, the literature, and her work. So. I mean, it's important for me from the personal to the professional and then personal again, because I discovered Sapienza as a reader, not as a scholar, and it was a passion. And then as I said, I worked on her for many years, and so she became really part of my work as well. And people should read it because we are recommending it. And there's something that happens very often with Goliarda Sapienza, that it's is not only a book that, or like a series of books of novels that people like or not like, but when they like these works, they have a powerful transformative effect. This is something that a lot of people say, like that they were touched on a very intimate, personal level by her work. So I would say read it, then you may not like it, but if you do, that's probably an encounter.
For me, it's her wilderness of thinking that is very important, and her radicality. And yeah, as a person and as an art maker, I think her work is so confronting. It's confronting you with a certain rawness of humanity. It's contradicting. It's also, I mean, especially in The Art of Joy, it's quite shameless, and it has a very liberating effect, which I think is the source of great discoveries if you apply it to your research process. So I would say to invite people to read, it's also, to be ready to shed, be ready to see yourself as a human, not as a preconceived idea, but as a human, as a bare human, with its complexity and its antagonisms and its ambivalence. And this is the world that she opened to me.
Yeah, and I think for me too, reading The Art of Joy in the first place was a real earthquake and a space of freedom that was kind of opened. And I think what I like also is at the same time, it's very confronting. but at the same time, it's also very consoling in a way. Like, and maybe that's what great. I don't know. It's like because it's so deeply human that it's both. Yeah, like strongly. Yeah, confronting and demanding, and but also. Yeah, consoling the most fragile and vulnerable piece of you. Like it's and it's just a companion that you can walk with throughout life, also throughout many different situations. Her work is so deeply non-dogmatic, and she's like worked so much to get out of these ideologies, and that you feel this work in her happening while you read, and this is kind of empowering also to somehow do the same in a way, to at least be conscious of this and see where you, yeah.
We were talking about this today at lunch, that I've been working on her forever and I keep rediscovering her. Every time I feel like I have understood something, something new in her work speaks to me, because it's very, like, it has many, many layers. And something I was telling them I discovered later was irony, how ironic this writer is. And in the beginning, because there's a lot of politics, a lot of ideology, I took her very seriously. And then later on in life, I discovered also how light and funny about everything she was, and this element of like real radicality, of staying very true to to the search for freedom, for authenticity. She paid a high price for that, but in all her writings, this is fundamental.
Yeah, it's the search above everything else, really everything else. Even above coherence, even above, above ideology. And I mean, in relationship to also queerness, which is relevant in this festival, it's, I believe she has a truly queer thinking, in the sense that you can never capture her. You can, and also the way that she thinks herself about her own queerness, which is quite evident, is morphing, is changing. It doesn't trap itself ever, really. She just will remain free, or at least this is the
Which can be
impression that she
frustrating
gives.
sometimes,
Yeah.
or a bit irritating. It's
Somebody
like, but
who
what
studies
are you?
her.
For somebody, is that you can never, like, you write something and then something else emerges from her text that just contradicts entirely what you've just come up with. So, and I think that these contradictions sometimes are because she's really searching for something and she doesn't have the answer yet. And sometimes it's because she's in pain about something. And so she contradicts herself also. She doesn't want to see some things or to accept some parts. And then later or in other moments, there's more acceptance. And so
There is time. Also,
There is time.
when you
There's a
start
lot
to
of
read
time.
of
Yeah.
the books, you have a real feeling of time unraveling itself, because you feel the past, you feel how it like works inside of her and how she transforms that, and this feeling of time is so beautiful. And also, I think what you said about contradictions, it also tells a lot about creative process and in a larger sense. Like when you create a piece, now it's full of that. It's full of like it's this search, and you don't know, and actually that's what I like about curation, is like this unknown space of unknown, that you go there with a very much like energy, but without knowing really, and contradicting ourselves all the time, and then trying to find, now we are at this point where we try to find a certain coherence in this shape what we make, but it's made of a lot of ways.
I think even more than coherence, we are just pulling a thread, and then, I feel like, I mean, we are making a piece that is pluridisciplinary, and I think that this kind of diversity of mediums and also of styles, or I would say of register, like going from very lyrical moments to very comical moments in the piece, then it kind of, I mean, it embraces a little bit also her her variation of registers in her own writings. That, yeah, I think somehow this is also why we chose to open all these windows in the work itself.
This what we did was really a scene that we extracted from this piece that we're making. So we are in the making of it, so it's not finished. And for this performance, specific performance, we took a scene that we worked as a little form. And it's dance and also singing and also other things, but it's dance with Goliarda Sapienza being a skeleton. Of course.
So, I mean, maybe we can situate a little bit the show. I mean, okay, so we read everything that we could read that was available to us in French. And it was a big treasure, but among all of these treasures, there is one text in her notebooks where she's referring to her own death and how she would like her funeral to be. And so we, after many trials of many different things, we decided that this was going to be the frame of our performance, that we were actually going to give her this funeral that, in fact, we learned she didn't have in real life.
So, real death.
Yeah, with her real death. So we decided to, give it to her and welcome the audience to her funeral. So at the beginning of the piece, there is a coffin on stage. We are at her funeral. And then we convoke different characters, different people from our own life to go and offer her things. So it's also a space for mourning that we give to ourselves as readers, who are not able to kind of meet this person that we admire, but also to everyone. I mean, we have so many things to mourn nowadays. Anyway, so throughout this funeral, it turns out that actually Goliarda Sapienza is in the coffin. She's there, and we dig her out of the coffin. So the excerpt you saw is something that we do with her remains. And in a way, with this piece, we also go into the cycle of life and death, because it starts with her funeral and actually ends with her birth.
There is also this erotic relation, and it has a lot of meanings. I think this is open to the audience to see, but it's also how we are sometimes not letting go of the dead and really keep. And this desire is an image for this relationship that is so particular, I think, to the absent. And also then to this person that we never met, we will never meet, and this desire that it's almost a metaphor for all this love that is staying, that exists there as readers. What is it? What is this desire of a reader? What is the relationship of a reader to a writer that you love so much and that is in your life, really, in your life?
Yeah, that we almost speak to her. We decided to bring her on stage because we almost speak to her. We would like to speak to her. We would like to ask her, what the fuck are you thinking about? What we are doing for you? It's really absurd.
And it's also, at the same time, I think it's mourning the absence and the impossibility to meet her in a way. But it's also, at the same time, in the same movement, recognizing how much is already there, that actually reading her is everything and is very powerful. Just as a little anecdote, we went to Catania on a trip to go and see her the neighborhood where she grew up, San Berillo. And we went to the house where she grew up, in front of the house. And it was like a pilgrimage a little bit. And of course, and then I felt going there, I was somehow expecting to feel her, to meet her very strongly, but actually it was not happening. And I realized there was something not connecting. She was not there. It's just like that. And the neighborhood had changed so much, and it was like so weird also. And I realized that actually I will never meet her more than reading her. That's the place where actually I can be so close to her. And it's also talking about the power, I think, of reading, of a book. Like the powerful, the life that can emerge from that is what we kind of deal with here.
Yeah.
And there's something very generative about Sapienza's work that I don't know that how often that happens, that a lot of people work on Sapienza's work, like create pieces, theater, music, inspired by her work, then not like staging her texts, but doing something that is inspired. So taking something and developing it somewhere else somehow. And this is a part that is, I think, in the piece emerges a lot, this like generative force of her work that then you take in your own language or languages, because it's really music, acting, dancing, singing is a very complex, multi-dimensional material piece. So, which is also something that Sapienza was herself. She was a writer, an actress, she did cinema, and so it's...
I mean, also I think she came very close to death. I mean, she tried to kill herself, and
Twice.
twice. And this scene is also about this. It's also about maybe. It's also about going close
Attraction.
to death, and if surviving this, then maybe coming out of this more alive. Maybe being rebirth. I mean,
And also what keeps in these moments.
what keeps you
What keeps you? Or like literally the song that we sang in the performance, it says like, if you want to die, ask your hand to help the other hand to not to kill yourself. So it's also talks about this, yeah.
Yeah.
What keeps you alive?
And what keeps us alive also in this scene is the other one. I mean, it's my best friend, it's my sister. And Goliarda's work is very much about sisterhood, about sorority, and so it's also this. Yeah, what rescue you? I mean, in this scene, it's the love of my friend. I mean, maybe she's the other hand. I mean, what is one hand? What is the other hand?
That's what she says in this testimony that we were talking about, this little text where she talks about her funeral. She ends that text saying, "And you girls love each other, because only this love and not a abstract romantic love can help do something helpful in the world." And that was also a really beautiful invitation to do something together in a way.
Yeah, to really also stage, like in our piece, I think it's kind of no matter what happens, the real red thread is this love that is 25 years of friendship. No, really, like that keeps you alive.
Yeah, so the documentary is by this French director, Coralie Martin, who interviews different people who have been important in the discovery or rediscovery of Sapienza or in her life. So like her husband, and then some researchers like me, or her French translator. So it's a very nice reconstruction of Sapienza's life, her work, and also her legacy to people today. And I think that within this legacy is this generative force that many people now are taking up and developing. And she was a cinema person. There's no word in English. She was called a cinematografara, somebody who does everything behind the camera, in front of the camera, training actors, doing sound, scripts. She was doing everything. So she has a very strong, deep relationship to cinema. And we're talking about the earlier times of neorealism. So today, I think that part of that generative force and the cinema that seeped into her writings is now being kind of retranslated into cinematic form. So there's a lot of cinematic construction of the gaze, for example, or of timing in her literature. And this is now being picked up in cinema. So Valeria Golino is about to, she just released The Art of Joy. I know that Martone is also working on a film on Sapienza, this documentary. So I think there is it's part maybe of a broader trend of making film adaptations of text. But in this case, there's also that from cinema to text and from text to back to cinema. So the visual part is central.